So I want to talk about the end of the 3DS. Because the 3DS, I have a lot of fond memories of the Nintendo 3DS. And now that the Nintendo Switch has pretty much become the primary handheld system, although it's also a console-based system, it can do both. It seems like the 3DS is being phased out, to where they won't make any more games or produce any more systems of the 3DS. So I wanted to give some 3DS moments real quick. So, first of all, the Nintendo 3DS is one of the best video game systems ever made for a few reasons, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Number one, the backwards compatibility. It can play regular DS games, and to me that's fantastic because the Nintendo DS before the 3DS is also an amazing system. So when you have access to the library of both the 3DS and the DS, that gives your system extra points. Same thing with the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 being backwards compatible adds layers of points to it because you don't have to pop out another system and plug it up and have several wires and stuff like that. Even if you organize it, multiple systems out there. If you have just the one, there you go. I don't have to carry around a DS and a 3DS. If I have a 3DS, I can play DS games on it, and they both look around the same size. So it's pretty easy to, have around. And that's number one. Number two, the system really did push it as far as what it did for handheld systems, because basically what you have with the 3DS is you have, in a way, a portable N64. It's around that power of what it could do. And the DS already kind of started the whole dual screen kind of gimmick that Nintendo would do. And the 3DS just made it better. I remember when the 3DS was first sort of announced, when they first revealed what it was going to be, I wasn't really paying attention to it, and I just kind of wrote it off. Like, I thought it was just a DS with a 3D screen. And I was expecting it to be kind of like a gimmick, sort of like the Game Boy Pocket Color, which is just an enhanced Game Boy. You don't need a Game Boy Color, but they did put out some games that worked for Game Boy Color, but would still work in the regular Game Boy, just not in color. That's the way I saw it. Like, okay, it's just like an enhanced version of a DS. But as time went by, there were games that were coming out that were exclusives to the 3DS that were starting to get pretty good. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I remember the first time I ever played a 3DS, it was, I had a friend of mine whose wife let me borrow it. And she had told me about Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Because what happened was I played A Link to the Past, and that's my favorite Zelda game of all time when I was a kid. That is my favorite Zelda game. It actually might be my favorite video game of all time. It's usually in my top 3. I'm talking about ever made. And so she kept telling me about this Link Between Worlds game, and I'm like, okay, like, if you like Link to the Past, it's a direct sequel, and it has a lot of throwbacks to it. And I played this freaking game, and I fell in love with it. I immediately fell in love with it. Because I love Link to the Past. And so I told myself, okay, at some point I'm going to get a 3DS and get this game and play it again. And eventually I did. And then what happened was I started getting some other games. Collecting some RPGs, because there's tons of them on 3DS. Dragon Quest 7 and 8 have been re-released on 3DS. And they're different than their original PS1 and PS2 counterparts respectively. But a lot of those older games, especially the PS1 Dragon Quest 7, Dragon Warrior 7, is very hard to find. So, I have a copy, but it's not that easy to find. Or it wasn't easy to find for years, but now that it got put on the 3DS, there you go. And so that right there, opened me up. And then I started getting some other games too, and I started seeing some of the classic N64 games, like, Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 were getting re-releases on there with like enhanced levels, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool, whatever. And the one thing about the 3DS, as far as those kind of games go, is the 3DS got me back into Pokemon, because I had not played a Pokemon game since Gen 3. I actually skipped a bunch of gens. I skipped Gen 4, Gen 5, and Gen 6, and then when Gen 7 was coming out, I had a few friends of mine tell me that Gen 7 did a lot of things that had never been done before. And I know that Gen 7's not fondly looked at now, but when it first came out, Gen 7 was my gateway back into Pokemon because I wound up playing Pokemon Sun. I got it for Christmas, I think 2017. I don't remember if it was 2017 or if it was 2016. I think 2017. I got it for Christmas and I really, really enjoyed it. No, it was 2016. It was Christmas 2016 when it had first come out. And I actually really liked playing that Pokemon game. And I traded a whole bunch of Pokemon and, it was fun. So, and the thing about the 3DS too is that the system itself is not very big. Even the larger sized ones can still kind of fit in your pocket. Whereas with a Switch is big, even if you get the smaller one. And is it truly handheld? I mean, it is handheld, but it's not like small like the 3DS is, comfortably small. You can hold the 3DS, very comfortably, whereas the Switch, it's still comfortable, but it's more wider, you know what I mean? And so I don't know if Nintendo's ever going to make a truly portable system ever again like this. I think that they might at some point, probably with like the Switch technology where it can still kind of connect to your, to your console. But I feel like right now the way things are, the Switch is the way they're going to be going for quite some time. And there's all kinds of rumors about another Switch, like an enhanced 4K Switch coming out next year. So, it's... I think that 3DS's time might be up, but there's so many great games on 3DS. I had fun playing Super Mario 3D Land. I had fun playing Donkey Kong Country Returns. I had fun playing that one. I had fun playing the Super Mario Brothers, the portable ones. Those. I forgot what was the name of those games. The new Super Mario Brothers. Those. I remember those. Shovel Knight. I was a Rocket Knight. Shovel Knight, Mario Maker. I played that. The Dream Team games were fun. I mean, Bravely Second. There's other games too I never got to try. But the 3DS had so many just fun memories and great times. I never got to play like some of the games I never got to try. And they're probably going to be really cheap soon, possibly if they get re-released. But, the ones I did try, like Luigi's Mansion, I had a good time with. I never got to play Fire Emblem. I probably should have. But honestly, if I'm being real with you, Zelda: Link Between Worlds by itself that's what got me to buy that system. Xenoblade 3D, another good one. Tons of them. And I really enjoyed it. Plus, on top of that, the DS library. So you could buy DS games. It's almost like you're buying 3DS games, And I have fond memories of playing my 3DS, taking flights on vacation and playing games like Dragon Quest 4 and 5 and Pokemon. 'Cause when I'm on a plane, I like to play turn-based RPGs because I don't like to do platformers and things like that unless I'm like in a non-moving vehicle, like if I'm at home or something. Because any jerk you could die. Like, something distracts you or, you get elbowed by a passenger on accident or something, you could die. So I prefer to play like a slow kind of game so I don't die. So I can take my time if somebody, hey, you want a drink? Or, if I'm on a bus and the bus is like wiggling and, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't like playing platformers portably unless I'm in a non-moving thing. You know what I mean? Sitting down, comfortable. So rest in peace 3DS. I mean, game systems are never truly dead because people will always play them and there will always be games out, especially one as durable as the 3DS. And, hopefully some of those games will get ported over to the Switch and we can enjoy them all over again. Let me know what you think. Give me your memories of the 3DS down below, and I hope you have a good one.